Blast me to Magaria! It's time for episode 14 of the Mad Merlin's Warhammer 40,000 Imperium Journey, Part 2, Painting and Playthrough. Hello and welcome back to the Mad Merlin's Imperium Journey. We're moving along with the paint guide and tutorial for issue 14. Last time we built our container. As you can see, I've already primed the inside with lead belcher, just to help speed things along with that. And I have also pre-painted all the barrels. Storm bolters. And the ammo crates. So I'm going to teach you the basics on dry brushing by painting the large container. So first off, we'll need to get 3 coats of Abaddon Black down on the main body. While the guide says to use your large dry brush, I suggest using, if you're a subscriber, your large base brush or any large flat brush like I have here. So I'll grab some paint, a couple of brushfuls on our palette, thin down with a touch of water, and we're just going to gently apply the paint, making sure we work it into all the nooks and crannies. Cover everything, including the control panels, which we'll pick out in silver later. And even the aquillas on top, which will be picked out in gold. So I'll do this all over, and I'll be right back. Well, we've got 3 coats of black down on our container. As you can see, we've got a nice solid coat all the way around. We're now ready to start the dry brushing process. So for this, we're going to be using Mechanica Standard Grey. And unlike normal paints, we want to make sure this one isn't very wet, which is where we get the term dry brushing. So I've got my large dry brush here. We want to dip it slightly into the paint. What I like to do is wipe off some of the paint back into the pot so we don't waste too much. With that, we're going to get a piece of tissue, and in circular motions we're going to work the paint into all the bristles. So keep moving the area so you can just see how much paint's left on the brush. And when we get down to this sort of consistency, that's when we know our paint is perfect. So we're going to apply this in 2 ways. The first is sticking with that circular motion on these larger flat panels. And we keep going. You can just about start to see the paint catching on the corners there. Apply a little bit more pressure if need be. You just want to lightly dust it over. And the second way, we're going to do a more focused dry brush, which is similar to how we normally paint. So you just want to drag that brush across the model and let the paint get caught on the higher edges, as you can see, just coming into focus there. Do this over the entire model and I'll be ready to move on to the next step. There we have our container, nicely dry brushed, and as you can see it's picked out all the hard edges and even just lightly touched on the flatter surfaces, helping to bring a bit of definition to our model. So all we've got to do now is pick out the finer details. So first we're going to start with lead belcher. This is on all the control panels, vents, and if you haven't painted the storm bolters yet, those. And we're going back to how we always paint. So get your paint ready on the palette, touch of water, and we want to pick out, we got the little vents in here, so we just want to pick the edges out with the edge of our brush, like so. We've also got these control panels on each end, so pick these out, being very careful around the black that we've just nicely painted. Use the side of your brush if you need to. For reaching the interior deep recesses, use pointier brush. Don't matter about getting any detail clog that isn't going to be silver later on. We will be painting those up in a later issue. And while you've got your silver out, if like me you've got the door open, you've made a few mistakes, bring your brush in and tidy those areas up. Here we go, with our silver details now blocked in. Our last detail to paint is gold. So we'll use Retributor armor, and we're going to pick out 3 areas. First, the Aquillas on the top here, the skulls on the sides and on the doors, and finally the sensor eye on the door control. So, filling our paints as usual. So we've got each of the 4 Aquillas on the corners to pick out. Be careful around your black again, but if you do make any mistakes, just touch up with Abaddon Black. And making sure you got a thin tip on your brush, you want to pick out the sensor eye there. And then all the various skulls. So you've got 3 on each side and 1 on each door. And there we have our finished container, ammo crates and barrels all ready for the tabletop. This is all we can do for this model so far, but in future issues I'll be returning to it to show you any future tips they are given. This will include washing, as well as picking out glow effects in the light and control panels, and it'll also get a varnish in the end. So all we got to do now is head to the battlefield for mission 14. So here we are ready for our next playthrough, but first we got some new rules to learn. So this mission introduces terrain to our games. And when concerning terrain and certain game mechanics, terrain will affect them differently. So we have rules for movement and unit coherency. So when making movement for your model, you measure from the start of its base as normal to the base of the footprint of the piece of terrain. Then you measure up, and then you measure across. So our assault intercessor here would move 1 inch towards the terrain, 3 inches up, and then 2 inches across for a 6-inch movement. Terrain that is less than 1 inch in height is considered to be easily vaultable, meaning it won't hinder movement. So the crates and the barrels, a space marine will be able to move 6 inches straight through them, as if they weren't there. Bringing in coherency and engagement range, units are considered to be coherent as long as they are within 2 inches of each other horizontally and 5 inches vertically. So imagine a giant clear cylinder over your models, measuring from your squad leader. And for engagement range, it's the same. You measure 1 inch base to base horizontally and then 5 inches vertically. If you are within that area, you're considered to be within engagement range. That's not all how terrain affects our game. It also affects visibility. So when measuring range for our weapons, we measure from model to model, as usual. Any models that can't be seen by a unit can't be a target. So in the event that the visible model is removed as a casualty, any other shots could be missed, though the player has the option to kill models that are hidden if they so wish. So we'll read through it here to clear up. A model must be able to see an enemy model in a unit in order to shoot at it. If unsure, get a look from behind the shooting model to see if any part of a model in the target unit is visible. A model can see through other models in its own unit. Check this for all models in the shooting unit when declaring targets, then resolve all the attacks. Wounds can be allocated to any model in the target unit, even those that are not visible. But like I said, you need to see your target in order to declare an attack at them. So if the visible model was decided to be taken off as a wound, you wouldn't be able to later charge the unit because there are no other models visible to your shooting unit. And then we have how to set up terrain. So for these practice missions, it's simple. Place the terrain on top of the printed versions on the game mat. We have an extended datasheet for our Necron warriors, which gives them the options of Gor's Reaper or Gor's Flayer. So without further ado, I'll set up the mat and we'll get into our combat. Here we have our setup battlefield. We have our Space Marines deployed within 4 inches of marker D. Unit of 5 Necrons with Gor's Reapers on A. Unit of 5 Necrons with Gor's Flayers on B. We've also got our piles of crates and barrels, and we have our container. So, here we go. Secure the supply drop. Imperial reinforcements have entered orbit around Megaria and begun dropping ammunition and supplies. The Space Marines must secure these supplies before the Necrons destroy them. Mission briefings. A squad of assault intercessors is tasked with securing a stray supply drop. An Imperial cargo lifter has been dispatched to assist in recovering the container. The Space Marines must contend with 2 units of Necron warriors if they are to achieve their objective. Necrons, capture the container. The Necron Royal Warden has dispatched 2 units of Necron warriors to seize and destroy an Ultramarines supply drop. They must reach the top of the container and prevent the Ultramarines from activating its magnetic docking clamp. Space Marines, rearm and resupply. An Imperial cargo lifter is inbound to recover the stray supplies. The assault intercessors must drive back the Necron warriors, reach the top of the container and activate the docking clamp in order to secure the precious cargo. Alright. So it is a capture and control kind of mission. Basically, the Space Marines need to get the containers secured, while the Necrons need to try and repel the Space Marines. The Necrons get first turn in this mission. So, and Necrons with Gor's Reapers are going to make full use of their assault weapons in advance. So we've got 4 on top of their 5, which gives them 9. So our first model measures 2 inches to the base, 3 inches vertically, and it won't need the rest of its movement because it's going to stay on the container. Our other ones can move up. That's 6 for that guy, and 6.5 for that guy. These 2 here will move up and stay in unit coherency. These Necron warriors are just going to move 5. And position themselves between the Ultramarines and their cargo. So now we get to shoot. So with our Necron warriors on top of the container, they're going to open up with their Gor's Reapers. So they have 2 shots each, giving us 10 dice. As their assault weapons, we have advanced, so we suffer a -1 to hit. So instead of 3+, we need 4+. So 1s, 2s, 3s don't count. 4, 5s and 6s do. So now we have strength 4 against tough 4, 4s. 1 wound through to our Space Marines with a -1. We have a 4-up save. He's made it. And Necrons with the Gor's Flayers will now check to see if they are within 12 inches. They are. So they also get 10 shots because of their rapid fire rule. So 3+ to hit. 1s and 2s don't count. And we are strength 5. Oh, not strength 4, sorry. I didn't read that. So 4s. It's the Reapers that are 5, short range and more shots, so it's higher strength. Space Marines survived either way. Space Marines now get 3 saves, and this is at -1. Oh dear. 2 wounds go through, so that's 1 Space Marine dead. So now on to the Space Marines' turn. So our Ultramarines are going to advance as far forward as they can. So they're going to move 6 inches towards their supply drop, like so. These guys are going to have to jump over crates. They're going to open up with their pistols. So we've got 3 heavy bolt pistols, 2 hits, strength 4, tough 4, 4s with a -1. So Necron saves are 4+, down to a 5+. Ah, he makes it. And we have 1 plasma pistol, which does not hit. So we need a 5-inch charge. With 7, we make it. So we can go 7, so we'll get up as close as we can to the container. And now we can begin melee. So first off, we pile in, making sure we get into contact and staying within 2 inches of each other. We only have chainswords, so we get 2 attacks each. As basic, 1 for the sergeant, and then 1 extra for chainswords. We need 3 to hit. Not too bad, about half. And we are strength 4, toughness 4, 4s. That's pretty good. So 4 wounds on the Necrons at -1. 4+, down to a 5+. That is 3 dead Necrons. We are still within coherency, because we count 2 across and then 5. Now, the Necrons get to attack back. 2 attacks, hitting on 3s, so 1 hit. Strength 4, tough 4, 4s, 1 wound. 3+ save. Oh dear. 1 wound has gone through to our assault intercessors. So we'll give 1 guy a wound marker. As there are enemies left, we don't need to consolidate, so we'll stay locked in combat. On to Necron's turn 2. So, these warriors will shuffle a couple of inches closer, and we will fall back with our other Necrons. So 3 inches down, 2 across. And this guy can go a straight 5. That frees up the Space Marines to be shot at. We're still within rapid fire range. So 10 dice. Freeze. Not too bad. Strength 4, tough 4, 4s. Wow, pretty good. And -1. So the Space Marines We'll roll 1 dice for the guy on 1 wound. He's gone. Then the others can be rolled all at the same time. 3 saves made. And 1 guy on 1 wound. So now our warriors are going to charge in. 6 inches. So we can't get on top. Should have moved a little bit closer really. But we can at least stop the Space Marines by tying them up in combat. Hopefully. So each Necron has 1 attack. Needing 3s to hit. 4 hits. Strength 4, tough 4. Only 1 wound. 3+ save. Saved. Back to the Space Marines' turn. So we're going to have 2 pistol shots. 1 hit. No wounds. And 1 plasma pistol. Hits. And does wound. So that'll be no save for our warrior. That is 1 dead. We have 3 attacks for our sergeant +1, then 2 attacks +1 for our remaining 2 assault intercessors. Needing 3s. Pretty good, only 2 misses. But we are strength 4, tough 4, and we need 4s. 4 wounds in total. This could wipe out the unit. -1, so Necron saves of 4 down to 5. And they survive with 1 model. Very lucky. Back to the Necrons. So we're going to fall back with this guy and have these guys move on top of the container, trying to stay 1 inch away, which is technically 3 inches down, so we'll count that. Oop. And they'll open up their Gauze Reapers. Needing 3s, 2 hits, strength 5, toughness 4, 3s at -2, 2 saves of 5+. 1 makes it, and the 1 on 1 wound falls. Space Marine's turn. Necrons won't engage. Oh no, sorry, Necrons will shoot 1 guy, 2 shots. 1 hit, 1 no wound. Okay. Space Marines. Plasma pistol. Bolt pistol. 4. 2. 1 dead Necron. And 1 on a 5+ save. Gone. We can't charge at a unit we didn't shoot at. So it's back to the Necrons. 2 shots. 1 hit. No wound. Space Marine's turn. They're going to jump on top there and shoot the pistols. Bolt pistol. Misses. Plasma pistol. Hits. 2. Fries and Necron. There we have it. Supply drop secured. We'll call command and get debriefed. So there we have our playthrough. We've learnt how terrain interacts with our game. And we've also learnt how to paint our new piece of terrain with some very simple techniques. So, our next Imperium is issue 15, Flayed Ones. Build and paint your models and rules for reinforcements. And issue 16, we get 5 more Assault Intercessors to add to our squad of 5 already. So, all what's left for me to do is to thank you for watching. Be sure to like, comment, share and subscribe. And I'll see you next time for more mad content. Goodbye.